One, check, one, check. Check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, 1, 2, 3. Check, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's see what's happening here. There I am. There I am. Hi. Hey there. Sorry I was a little bit late this morning. I had a little bit of a problem connecting here this morning. It's no big deal. It happens once in a blue moon. But anyway, usually I try to adhere. I'm kind of a stickler for details like that. Because I just like to run a tight ship. And every now and then, something happens. So, sorry about that. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Violet. Hope everybody is doing well today. TikTok was up to some shenanigans. Yeah, it's probably always up to shenanigans. Okay, so these earlier things that I do in the day are going to start to move ever more increasingly in the direction of technical things. So I don't know how much interest that's going to be to the followers of my other things that I do, but this is the work that has to be done. So I've got to do it, and I either do it live or I probably don't do the morning live because I've got to make a conscientious decision to make sure I'm moving in the direction of finishing tracks. In addition to all the work that you don't see. Speaking of which, there was some work that took place here as far as organization is concerned, and it continues now. I'm moving things into subgroup divisions. Let me see here. This is the string section here. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Okay. There you have it. I use a color coding system of doing this. Violins 1 and 2 are yellows and ochre, and then we move into violas, which I gotta move these guys down. These are celli. So management, project management is really what this phase is about. It's what prevents a producer from suffering from overwhelm. That's a lot of information right there. And the reason I'm able to navigate it the way I do is because I'm the way I manage it logistically. And from a professional standpoint, there are certain practices of the trade that I'm using that is typical that most mixing engineers would just nod their head and be like, yeah, I know what you're doing. But there's also a lot of things here that are my own tricks and things. It's funny, like sometimes you have some tricks and sometimes you have some secret techniques, and you come to find out they're really a waste of time. That doing things the more traditional way would cut 3 or 4 steps out of the process because, you know, you think you're being so innately creative about something, and mixing engineer look at you and be like, why are you doing that? What? This is the way I do things. Really? Well, maybe you should rethink that. Mixing engineers aren't known for having much of a sense of humor when it comes to workflow. Because, you know, we're managing expectations and all this other stuff that goes with it. So then we move down into, this is kind of a stack that needs to close. Get that off of there, and then we're going to call this brass. Submix. Get my melon out of the way. Melon management. There. Move melon. Jace's melon. Okay. The brass is typically, I'd use shades of blue for that. And this is like, so when I'm looking at this screen, when I see red, when I see orange and yellow, I know I'm looking at strings. When I see dark purple up here at the top, I know I'm dealing with percussion. When I see green, I know I'm dealing with woodwinds. When I see pink, I know I'm dealing with a harp. I've trained myself to recognize a color management system that helps me cue in on what things are doing a little bit faster. I always use cyan for trumpets. Horns are usually this dead-on medium blue color. And then as I start to move down into the lower range of the instrument, they'll get darker and darker, which then needs to be more blue than purple. So, okay, I need to move this tuba up here. I didn't get a chance to do this yesterday. I'm kind of bummed. I had to do some hanky stuff. He needed to go to the park and take care of him and things, and he's very important to me, and it kind of cut into my day. When I say I'm going to give him a half hour, it usually winds up being a whole afternoon. So, Hanky's at daycare today, playing with the other dogs, which he absolutely adores. So we're all good. This zither is an optional thing that I might use. And right now it's just, oh yeah, gotta unhide things, shoot. Right now I'm just gonna hide these two tracks because I don't need to see them. They'll disappear when I hit the hide button. Okay, what is this? Okay, so now this is where part 3 begins. And so what I'd like to do is put all of that into one folder if I can, so that it's, let me move these guys up here. Let's get them on up out of there so I'm looking directly. What is this? When you see grayed out areas like that, that means those regions are muted. What is this? Okay, that's where I've doubled the flute line because I didn't like, I'm using 2 different flutes and I'm doubling the line. So I'm going to move that flute up here with its counterpart. See? That's one line right there. And then I doubled it here. So, yeah, just basically shucking and jiving here to get things manageable. So this is part 3 as it exists right now. It'd be great to just say, create a track stack, and then, great, spinning wheel. All right. What are you doing? God, I hate nag windows. Anymore, the computer is trying so hard, software designers are trying so hard to anticipate what you want to do that they're constantly throwing these nag windows up. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to? No. I want the computer to be quiet and let me work. All right, I'm going to hide that then. When I hit the hide function, those will all disappear. Now we got a whole bunch of stuff down here that this is a option for a solo piano and a cello version of this track to remind me to do it. I'll leave that there. These other things, wow, what are we spinning about here? Okay, that can go bye-bye. There's a lot of information moving around here when I do these things, so this is why I'm getting this wheel a little bit here. Okay, that can go too. Take a look at the chat room here for a second while that's doing that. Oh, wait a minute. Am I still online? Yeah, I'm still here. Okay. Let's have some hellos. Hellos. Let's see what we have here. Hi, everybody. Hi, Hall. Hi, Liz. Hi, Sharon. Hi, DGD. Hi, Violet. Violet says hi, ladies. Gigi says hi. Hi, Jace. Hi, Hall. DGD says hi, all. Liz says hey, ladies. I'm going to move you guys back over here, and hopefully you won't despair again. How's it going, Sharon? All right, back to business. Okay. Wow. All right, well. When I delete tracks from these stacks, I'm reshuffling the signal flow in the project, so when we get upwards of 100 tracks in a project, this phase becomes a little bit of a drag because I have to move slowly and the computer can only go so fast. And this is despite the fact that this is an extremely powerful computer. It just doesn't... I'm asking a lot. Let's just put it that way. Okay. I'm going to do a quick save here. Just to revert in case I wind up making a mistake. I can go backwards. Hi, Astro Poet. Hey, everybody. Guess what? Astro Poet's new beautiful volume of poetry is available for purchase now. I just got my copy. You should all get yours. Why don't you tell us about it, Astro Poet? And then why don't you come to the show tonight so we can tell everybody in the chat room about it again, you know, when there's more people there from the usual account. I'm sure folks would like to know. Tell us what's going on here. Astro Poet is a published poet now. Has been in the past too, but this is kind of a special moment for Astro Poet. This is something she's worked very, very hard for. And these kinds of things are never easy. I don't know if you've ever dealt with publishers before, but it's a labor of love, and it can be very challenging. And she's had her ups and downs. So this is a real big moment for her, and she's a wonderful example to fellow poets of all walks of life, but also for women as well. This is such incredible work, and we're honored to have her here. We really are. You're all so very talented, you know? It's just amazing to me. Okay. I'm just deleting more extraneous information here. Carefully. Submix Master 2. So these Submix Masters need to go to the top of top of the picture here, right up underneath the master audio out. So the method I use in production is, of course, the submix method of using submixes. And essentially, when you look at something like this, folder right here that you see illuminated on the screen, right here, talking about this one, right here, moving it around right now. That contains the entire string section of the whole orchestra. See, these are violins, violins 2, violas, cellos, double basses, and all of those come out the main volume for this bus. So when I turn this bus up and down, I'm turning them all up and down at once. That's very important. Very, very important. So Astropoet has a link to order her poetry in her bio, which is great. Good job, Astropoet. That's how you do it. Very smart. And I've already purchased my copy. And I think it's a special price right now too, isn't it, Astropoet? If you this pre-order price, you save like $10 or something, which is nice, of course, you know. Although I'd be happy to pay whatever price is on that. It's a work of art. Okay, so now we're going to. All right, first of all, let me grab this glockenspiel, this zither. And let's move those up here into the percussion family. The percussion family. Look at all those tracks. So I think sometimes you guys have asked me before, how, am I using music notation here to do this stuff? And there is that aspect of this, but that's the furthest thing from my mind. That would just slow me down. It really would. If I was taking this to a symphony orchestra to perform, then that would enter into another phase. I would do the notation myself, and then I would work with a copyist. This is someone who specializes in every tiny little nuance of everything you expect the instrument to do to translate to a score, so that when the orchestra sees it, they're not trying to read your mind. If you don't tell them, they don't know. If you wanting it a certain way or a certain position or a certain whatever it is. So the copyist's job is to look at your score and to listen to what you're doing and find all that stuff that you're missing, Or on the other hand, they can start from scratch. The copyists, they work so fast. They simply listen. They're listening to the music, and they're using a computer and a software and just boom, 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 writing the notes in. They can copy as fast as I can play by ear, the professionals. It's just, this is what they've been doing for 15 or 20 years, and they've gotten so good at it that they make a professional career at it, and they work with film composers, they work with all sorts of music producers, and it's, they get an hourly fee or a project fee, and that's how they make their living. They stay very busy in Hollywood. Usually composers have certain copyists that they like to work with. I like to work with nice people. There's a lot of, nuance to different characters in this profession, and sometimes certain personalities can clash, and Yeah. As far as mixing and mastering is concerned, I started mixing and mastering 20 years ago. And I spent the first 5 years of that journey ruining mixes. Absolutely destroying them because my approach was all wrong. Yeah, people tell me I should offer courses and teach classes on this subject because I'm not kind of doing this the same way. The explanation, the explanatory part of this, the teaching aspect of this kind of stuff. And I'm not really trying to teach you how to do this right now. I'm just telling you what I'm doing so that, I'm giving you some content here that can be palatable. Some of this stuff will get so technical, it's like you would just be sitting here twiddling your thumbs like, what are you doing? And without the use of a set of headphones, it would be kind of a wasted effort because your smartphone isn't capable of hearing the nuance, the speaker on your smartphone through a mono speaker like that, or even if it's quality laptop built-in speakers, they're going to have a limitation. And you move up to that from your car audio, okay? So that's maybe a step up, right? Depending. Sometimes car audio is the worst. But then you start moving into, good stereo equipment in a listening room in your house or whatever else, or your home speaker system and all that jazz. So as you start to get up in the food chain of the quality of what you can hear, but then what it really comes down to is some training where I would sit with you and I would say, okay, listen to this violin. Now listen to it. And I turn something on. For many of you who have any experience in this kind of thing, you'd be seeing this and I don't hear the difference. And it might frustrate you. And of course, comes this feeling of I'm not capable of it. No, it's not that at all. It's that I haven't shown you the difference. So I point out a certain part of the waveform and we go back and forth and I say before, after, before, after, and show you step by step the differences. And I might do that a little bit here and there. It's all part of Tahoe coming alive to me, and I enjoy seeing this. So this is a little bit more of a kind of, what's the word? It's just a part of the practice that's a little bit dogmatic and predictable as far as put this here, put that there, this goes there, don't do this, don't do that. Just getting everything ready to go to audio, because this is where we are with this thing. We're at that phase with parts 1 and 2. There is one question that's bothering me inside of my head right now about part of the practice here, which I'm wondering if it's something I should do or not, and that is boost the output levels of the instruments coming into the scenes. But I haven't made that decision yet. So we're going to create a track stack here. And just like that, our Woodwinds family is born. All of these guys. Piccolo, flute, 1 and 2. Also another couple of flute lines. Oboes, clarinets. It reminds me, I do want to add a contrabassoon into the ending. Okay, so Woodwinds. Yay! Okay. Now, let's get this down to the bottom. I don't know why it keeps floating up there. Okay. You stay down there. Okay, let's start from the bottom and work our way up now. Let's kiss this goodbye. These are ideas that never came to be. Or I tried them and they didn't work. Because sometimes you don't know until you try. See, the world of working with virtual instrumentation is like a grand illusion. You're like a David Copperfield almost. And certain things, practices are more beneficial than others, and this is going to be a big one. I better do a backup save here. Let's do revert 2 for the day. Okay. And we're going to wipe this out. Delete. It's going to take a second. All right. All right, and these are all things that I no longer have any use for. So they can all go. Hope I didn't make a mistake here. It's very common, very easy, and very common to make mistakes at this phase. Accidentally delete a signal chain that was not supposed to be deleted. And that's why we create revert points, so that we avoid those disasters. Now these submix buses are going to stay for now, because I'm going to use those. Okay. This is empty. Just looking for empties. When I see them, they can go bye-bye. It's another empty. Ah, look at that lovely organized project. I'm keeping these muted sublayer lines because I might go back and forth to them a little bit more yet. I don't know if I am, so why delete it if I don't have the answer to that? Okay, who are you? Rhythmic pads? We don't have any rhythmic pads. Bye-bye, rhythmic pads. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, bassoon. Contrabassoon. Yes, a contrabassoon is a very strange instrument. It's like a bassoon, but it's bigger and deeper. It rumbles. Almost shakes. The whole thing vibrates. And it makes the sound like it has a growl in the low end when it's used that way. Anyway. Okay. Vintage. Vintage what? I was thinking vintage at one point. Goodbye. Vintage. It's a rare vintage. I found this wonderful bottle of wine in the mid-century modern bin, covered in dust. All right. It's not uncommon for musicians to talk to themselves. It's not a problem until we start answering ourselves. Okay. All right, so this is piano scratch tracks, which, yeah, I need to hold on to those. Okay, what else we got here? Let's go ahead and hit the hide button and see what happens to the project now. And let me fold these tracks up. Oh, we got to create a percussion bus. It's going to create a little tracky stacky. Tracky stacky. Orc. Perk. Submix. Okay. Let's put a big drum on there so we know what it is. Percussion. Boom. Okay. Let's keep moving on down the road. It's like a Brady Bunch song. Gotta keep on moving. Gotta keep on moving. Then there was that one episode of the Brady Bunch where I think it was, wait a minute, it was Greg and Bobby. What was the middle one's? Peter. His voice was changing. And every time he tried to sing the line, his voice would crack because his voice was changing. So they built it into the song. When it's time to change, you've got to rearrange. Then there was that other scene from the Brady Bunch when they had that vase sitting down on the table and they weren't supposed to play ball in the house. And like Bobby was playing up on the ball, bounced down the steps and smashed the vase, right? And they didn't want to tell mom and dad because they knew they were going to get grounded. And they kept having this dream. The ball would come down the stairs, bash the vase, and then move in slow motion back up the steps, and it would make this weird noise when it would go backwards. Mom always said, don't play ball in the house. Bounce, bounce, boom. God, my brain is such a weird place. All right, let me close this bus. Let me close this bus. What do we have here? Why, there's brass instruments floating outside of the brass submix bus. We cannot have that. Get into position at once. There we go. Is that all of you? Yes, it is. Then we have the harp. I'll go ahead and move the harp up here to the top. Okay. What are these guys? Temporal, short, temporal, short, temporals. Okay, that's more percussion. So these guys got to get their purple color going here and get up on into the percussion submix bus. Okay, flying formation. Brass submix woodwinds. And there is Tahoe, reduced to its submixes. The project itself looks to be 114 tracks. 114 right now, and I would say probably about additional 15 of those are going to go. Yeah. Can you feel that music, baby? Let me see here. Okay. big load off my mind. All right. So. Wow, look at that. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. So, I'm getting ready to do a private session here in a few minutes, but I'm going to hang out with you for a minute first. So, freaking awesome. Thank you. Okay. So here's and this is more of something that would tickle the imagination of music producers out there. The thing that is kind of a note of achievement, honorable mention, or maybe even in case first prize, is that there is nothing but volume mixing on that right now. There is not even one drop of equalization anywhere on one single track, on one single bus. Zero. Nada. So the reason that is so worthy of mentioning is because to get something to sound that way with zero plugins and zero effects and zero additions. So we're moving into mixing now, Sharon, and there's a whole lot of things that happen. There's a whole lot of technical assets that will be added to this equation, which are designed to make good things sound better. But oftentimes when things are already sounding well to begin with, it can make good things sound worse. And I'm not a believer in fix it in the mix. I'm a believer in fix it in the production. So in other words, when you hear musicians talking about things like, oh, the drums just aren't coming through the mix right. I've turned them up. I've even tried to compress them. It's just what I need to do is get in there and EQ this and shave that and do this, everything else. No, actually what you need to do is write a better drum line. What you need to do is use a different set of drums. If you're talking about digital production, is what I'm saying. If you have a pre-recorded set of drums, unfortunately, those options don't exist. I get that, and I totally then yes, there's a certain amount of technicality there where we have to work with what we have. So then what you see producers do is doubling over top of drums with synthetic drums to try to get them to crisp up or whatever it is that they have to do, because the original drum sounds just aren't cutting it. And a lot of times then what happens is a producer wants to blame the microphones. They want to blame the recording engineer and everything like this. Well, what happens is to put it as simply as I possibly can, and this is just one aspect of this whole thing. Let's say my left hand here, it's going to be on your right, obviously, is the sound of a kick drum. Okay. And then let's say this is the sound of a bass guitar. Depending on what notes are being played, that bass guitar and the sound of that bass drum are going to intercept. Okay. Then what happens is this thing called masking, and this is just one, nuance of many different things you got to watch out for as a producer. But so in other words, you want to be able to hear the drums back here, but the bass guitar is here. Well, then you say, well, then I'm just going to turn the drums up. Well, the problem is now the drums here and the bass guitar is there. So this is a problem that mixing engineers have to deal with. So what they try to do is figure out a way to accent certain parts of the sound, whereas what's probably causing the problem there is the discrete individual head settings on the bass guitar, whatever it is the tone is that the bass player is trying to achieve. And that drum fundamental, that kick, are one and the same in the frequency range. So the mixing engineer has to introduce stuff into that bass drum to move it out away from the drum, when really what you want to do is, if this is the drum, instead of having this, you want those sounds to work together like that. Do you see how that became bigger and wider and more pronounced? That's because those fundamentals are now not colliding. They're intercepting in a way that allows them to peacefully coexist. And this is just one, of course, thing. So having all this experience writing for symphony orchestra, I think that most people who do that are better prepared to mix and master music than the average person who decides they want to start doing that. The no-fly zone for many years is that you don't ever mix your own music and you don't ever master your own music. It's kind of is a subject of debate that gets pedantic and weird. I work with mixing and mastering engineers. I love to work with mixing and mastering engineers, but the thing is if I mix and master independently every piece of music that I have in the stockpile that's coming out this year, I would be into $200,000 worth of mixing and mastering. So what I do is I refine my skill sets so that I can get professional quality sounding mixes. And then if something wants to go on to a mixing and mastering engineer after that, somebody else wants to pay for it, you know what I mean? That's more than happy to do that. But what happens is to the average listener's ear, once you achieve high altitude with that ability, it's hard for listeners to know whether you're flying in 69,000 feet or 68,500, 72,000 feet or 71,500. Because the point of noticeable differentiation is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller because skill sets are going higher and higher and higher. And then there was the other thing, like 10 years ago, people that I would work with, I would send my mixes, which were really refined, off to a mastering engineer, and the mix would come back, and the people who were involved in the project with me, they would listen back and forth between mine and what came back, and they absolutely demanded that it goes back to the original mix that it was. Try telling that to a mixing engineer. That goes over like a lead balloon. And they just kind of roll their eyes and say, whatever, you know what I mean? They're good people, so talented, incredibly talented people. So the kind of structural thing is the mixing engineer picks up where I leave off. Oftentimes the mixing engineer wants to peel off and remove everything a producer has done up to that point because it's probably rubbish. So they start with a bass flatline mix all over again, right? And that's both in my particular arena where I'm kind of full contact. That's just a waste of money and time. So because I'm not layering problems to hand a mix engineer fix my problems. So good mixing makes good music sound better and better music sound fantastic. But if the production is bad to begin with, they're saying you can't polish poo. Kind of comes into play too. Like the music is in constant movement. Yes, it is. I appreciate that. That's a very wonderful compliment. It's what I try to do. Oh, there's some more comments here I can't see. What is going on? Why is this feed not updating the way it's supposed to over here? Let me see what's people saying. Thank you so much for your wonderful support this morning. It's perfect. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Okay, well, this is great news that I have this way. I have a decision I need to make. I'm going to get a cup of coffee before I make it, where essentially I'm going to decide whether I'm going to boost the levels coming out of the instruments themselves. You all know when that red light comes on, when you turn something up too high, Ooh, the red light came on. Turn it down. You know, when that red light comes on, that means trouble, right? So that's called a peak. That is the maximum volume for which sound can exist without distorting and becoming nasty. Sometimes it's actually valuable to do that in certain cases, but that's just another whole line of thinking. So that distance between the loudest point in my whole mix and that red light is called headroom. See? I tell people tell me I should teach this stuff. I don't know. There's so many people doing this kind of thing, teaching these things, that I'm told my way of explaining things is a little bit more helpful in some ways. I don't know. But anyways, headroom management should be priority one for every music producer out there. Managing that space between the loudest part of your mix and that red light. There should always be so much room in there. Comfortable room in between the two of these things. So it's one thing I've worked very hard. It's hard when you have 60 or 70 tracks. Yeah. I mean, this is basically a simple little thing called amplitude. If you're standing on a sidewalk, right, and I am standing up on a rooftop 15 feet above you, and I say, hey, down there, and I have a quarter cup of water, and I pour it on your head, you're like, okay, I felt that. Well, if I take and increase that to a cup of water, you're going to notice it more. But if me and 50 of my friends form a circle around you up there, and we all have 1 gallon of water, and on a count of 3, 50 people dump 50 gallons of water on you, it could become almost to the point where it becomes dangerous, because the pressure wave that's coming down there is just, crazy big. It's getting bigger and bigger, and this is what happens with sound waves. When you have a string section, that's one thing, but when you add a brass section and a woodwind section and percussion and all these other things on top of it, even if you're pulling them down, they're getting louder. It's just a question of numbers. So management of that is a light which must always be on. And I wasted 5 years of my early 20s going about that all the wrong way. I'd always be like 1 decibel below that red light coming on. And I thought that's because, music has to be loud. Louder is better. And music does have to be full and present. It does have to be a certain level of loud, because there's certain aspects of music you cannot enjoy unless they are up there. The actual listening experience changes when things get louder, and it enriches and it becomes better. So, yeah. I could go on about this for hours. Sorry. Hi, Lisa. Yes, Masterclass. That's cool. Well, everybody, who will be coming to Golden Hour this evening so that we can hear the first round mix of this? It's crazy. When you listen, let's listen to this. Try this. A long time ago, we'll start it at the same place so that we can kind of pick out what's going on here. When I started this idea, and you were all so supportive and appreciative of it, what Tahoe was, it sounded like this. Hear that? This is what we had. This is the very first thing I ever showed you. So I said to you at that time, I'm like, yeah, I feel like this is a pivotal moment here. What I'm hearing in my head and what you're hearing, I can't really explain to you what's inside of my head. So, but now I can show you. Quite a difference. Compared to this. Compared now back to this. Yeah. Now you know. Now you know exactly what I'm talking about. What I have to start with the original concept and see that purpose, and then discover how big that might want to be or how subtle that might want to be. Sometimes bigger is not better. Purpose is better. Knowing what the music wants me to do, what direction the music wants me to push in. You know, and then what happens? See, what happens then is as you experiment, you'll start to pick up when, okay, the purpose is changing now. The purpose is starting to change. It's a simple question. Is this something I, yes, want to do? Or is this something, no, that I want to stay here versus there? And that's an aesthetic decision that we all have to make as music producers, and be able to hopefully make the right decisions there. I like the idea of having simpler versions, and that's like this piano and cello version. Where did that go? Because I haven't messed with this since. Let's see what this thing's about. Let me see here. Don't expect too much here and you won't be disappointed. Hang on. I don't know how loud that's going to be, so... So, in a way, this almost becomes like a movie. A movie has a centralized main theme, but there's this development that takes place, and this is a part of this story that, unlike the big one we have here, this is a part of this story that is more reposed. What I want to do is talk my friend Jonah Kim into coming over here and performing this with me for you live. He is the lead cello player for the San Francisco Ballet Symphony Orchestra and a renowned, recognized international soloist. He's a fantastic cello player, and he happens to be a good friend. So I'm thinking I could set him up right over here, and we could capture a recording of that too. I think that would be something that you might not ever forget, being that you are the most wonderful fans that I've ever had and the most appreciative, loyal, and really understanding my music group that I've ever known. So, been listening incognito, Jim Bro, hanging out like 0070, Jim Bro, sneaky deaky. What you say, James? It's good to see you, buddy. Always makes me happy when I see you. This would be incredible. Well, here's what we have to do. I'll send him a message, and then you have to all just, either I'll figure out, get you his email address, and we'll just pound him with about 25, 30 emails. Says, yeah, come on, please do this. He sees that. He'll be like, oh, okay. He loves to play with me. He's just so busy. You know what I mean? He's in and out of town like for 2.5 seconds. So I literally have to carve a wedge into his schedule to get him over here. But he's nothing less than ridiculous. And he's a prankster too. Him and me in the same room is kind of like a comedy act. Usually I'm the brunt of his jokes. It's okay. It's a little shit. Love that guy. I can hold the moonshine jug. Yeah, but can you play it? Boom, 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 boom. All right, well, I hope to see you all this evening. I'm going to switch gears here. That was a great session. I love it when an organizational session goes off without a hitch. Oftentimes I have to do them twice because in the rush to clear the signal feed, I usually wind up deleting something by accident that has slipped my mind, and it's usually an invisible effects track or something like that. So, and I wind up having to do it twice, but not this time. We have victory for Tahoe. Always supportive. Thank you. Toot. I can toot a mountain jug. I'll bet you can. Moonshine jug, I mean. All right then, Jenny. Thank you. Thanks, Babs Money. Jim Bro, it's good to see you. Hall, thanks for being here. Sharon and Violet, you're so wonderful. Appreciate my wonderful moderators. You're all fantastic. Thank you so much. Liz, thanks for being here. I know this song means a lot to you. So there's so much of this is a special lane just for you. And Lisa is here. That would be incredible, Lisa says. Maybe we'll even put an igloo back there. It could be Jonah Kim live from the igloo. Yeah, you should check him out sometime. Here's his name. Also, I want to bring in my friend, electric guitarist, Jimmy Kokinis, on this track as well. I would like to do a version of this track with electric guitar. He does a very kind of a singing tone. It almost sounds like a soprano singer singing. And he treats the guitar like a symphony orchestra. He's a very, very strange technique and a wonderful vibe. So I would like to do two versions of this. I would like to do one with Jimmy, and I'd like to do one with Jonah, and I'd like to do one where I combine the two of them. So, yeah, it's pretty intense. You have no idea. I mean, I don't mean that like you don't have any idea. I'm just saying I can tell you what it's going to sound like, and until you hear it, forget it. It's actually, there's an old video on YouTube, I think, of me playing that track with the two of them. I don't know if it's still up or not. I'd have to go see. playing Jennifer's Largo with the two of them. But I don't know. It's still there. So. All right, everybody. I will see you soon. I'm going to get my buns moving in the finish direction here. Got a lot of work to do, so I got to go. Okay? I will see you all soon, okay? I look forward to seeing you tonight. This is an exciting time. Wonderfully exciting time. Peace out. See you, Jim Bro. See you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you tonight at Golden Hour at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific. See you soon.